What happens when a society becomes numb to critical thought, slipping silently into the grasp of ignorance? Imagine a world where individuals, rather than engaging in thoughtful reflection and discourse, surrender their moral agency and intellectual autonomy to authority figures. This disturbing reality is not mere speculation. It echoes through history, reminding us of the roles ordinary people played in the rise of the most horrific regimes. This unsettling scenario was keenly observed by Dietrich Bonhoeffer, a German theologian and resistance fighter whose insights into human stupidity extend far beyond simple misunderstandings. For Bonhoeffer, stupidity represents a profound, destructive social force, more insidious than raw evil. While evil can be confronted and restrained through reason, stupidity resists critical thinking and refuses to engage with the uncomfortable realities of our actions. It is not merely a lack of knowledge, it is a refusal to learn, to evolve, and to reflect on one's beliefs. In this view, a person can be stubbornly committed to their unexamined ideas, producing a mindset that closes the door to understanding and growth. This intellectual laziness, Bonhoeffer warns, is far more hazardous than mere ignorance because it breeds a culture of passivity, allowing harmful ideologies to flourish unchecked. Thinking about the tragic rise of Nazism, we see how the uncritical compliance of ordinary citizens contributed to unfathomable atrocities. Ordinary people, lacking the will to question authority, surrendered to a grotesque ideology, leading to a historical disaster. It wasn't always malevolent intent that made compliance so destructive. Rather, it was the pervasive numbness to moral and intellectual inquiry. Those swept up in the ideology did not seek to do harm, but failed to think deeply about the consequences of their beliefs and actions. Bonhoeffer also highlights a vital link between authority and ignorance. Once people attain power, their capacity for critical thought often diminishes. Systems of power reward conformity, while punishing those who dare to think independently. This creates a feedback loop of ignorance, where leaders are insulated from dissent, making widespread decision-making based on irrationality rather than reasoned discourse. This dynamic breeds oppression, where granted authority becomes a mechanism for promoting ignorance rather than enlightenment. Looking through Bonhoeffer's lens, we realize that stupidity can be a far more potent instrument of destruction than malevolent intent. This echoes the sentiments of Hannah Arendt, who introduced the concept of the banality of evil. Arendt's insight illuminates how ordinary people can commit horrific acts without adequate moral reflection, immersed in thoughtless obedience to authority. Adolf Eichmann, for instance, was not a particularly evil man, but a bureaucrat who followed orders without considering the immense human cost. The horror lay not in psychopathy, but in a profound lack of critical thinking. Arendt's concept connects deeply to Bonhoeffer's ideas on stupidity, emphasizing the perils of passive compliance. In totalitarian regimes, the psychological pressures to conform and the fear of dissent enable the machinery of oppression, turning ordinary citizens into instruments of tyranny through their intellectual passivity. This reality calls each of us to actively engage with complexity rather than to be lulled into blind adherence to simplistic narratives. Bertrand Russell also grappled with this troubling dynamic. He observed that society often rewards foolishness while penalizing intelligence, especially in politics. In his view, effective leadership is often about presenting digestible narratives, not engaging in the complicated and often uncomfortable complexities of reality. This devaluation of intelligence fosters an environment where the allure of simple answers triumphs over the difficult pursuit of truth. Russell's concerns amplify in today's context, where misinformation thrives on social media platforms, creating echo chambers that distort reality. In a world flooded with easy answers and sound bites, critical thinking becomes uncomfortable, and challenges to prevailing narratives are often met with social ostracism. Against this backdrop, individuals must muster the courage to question authority and reject conformist tendencies, cultivating a robust habit of intellectual inquiry. Resisting the contagion of stupidity calls for a societal imperative. It begins with individuals who embrace moral responsibility, engage in self-reflection, and commit to lifelong learning. This journey entails confronting authority with skepticism while fostering an environment that values intellectual complexity over simplistic ideologies. Thanks for looking.